You know how when someone's listening to you play and they say, "You need to play so that I can hear the orchestra behind you." And then you have the feeling afterwards that's like, "What are you talking about?" It can be infuriating because you don't really know what to do about it at first. Do you just start adding dynamics and phrasing willy-nilly? How do you find out what's appropriate or acceptable for that piece? And how can you have confidence that your interpretation is even valid? Well, it turns out there's a way to gain authority about an excerpt and to infuse it with musicality even if you've never played it before in orchestra. Today's video is about how to research excerpts so you can have a convincing interpretation from the very start. It's day 8 in the 12 days of auditions, where each day I cover a topic on how to take auditions. First of all, you need to do this in the right order. It's not going to work if you first learn the notes and then add phrasing and musicality. It'll sound like you learned the notes like an exercise and then sprinkled some artificial phrasing on top. All of your excerpt study should happen before you start learning the notes, so you can absorb the emotions and the musical journey happening in the piece and then apply it to every note as you go later on. The ways you can get experience with that excerpt are from either playing it with orchestra or listening to recordings. And since you can't really go out and play any excerpt you want with orchestra, all you really have are the recordings, but you can really dive into those. Instead of thinking of listening to recordings, think of it as absorbing them like a sponge. Listen to them repetitively, focus on different things with each repetition, and listen to a ton of them. And not only do you need to squeeze those recordings into your brain, you also need to use them to decide on your perfect interpretation, or at least a good place to start. As you listen to each recording, write down as much as you can. That includes numerical stuff like tempo and musical things. Write down everything: phrasing schemes, rubatos, and even what emotion you're feeling while you listen. Anything that's unique about that recording, you should write it down. Once you have all that info, start to find trends. If you have 10 recordings and 7 of them do it one way and 3 of them do it another, you can make your decision based on numbers, because it's likely that what you hear in a majority of recordings is what the audition committee is going to be used to hearing too. You can also use those tempo numbers to choose your tempo. You can add them all up and take the average. But seeing those numbers top to bottom also helps you know how far up or down you can go if you want to do something interesting with it, but you don't want to do something too crazy. Once you've used your info to choose an interpretation, prepare it for the next step of actually learning the notes. Make a phrasing diagram. Write down your preferred tempo. Write down some emotion words in the music. That way, you can set yourself up for when you start working on the notes, you'll be learning the actual piece and not just a series of notes. This is all part of my audition preparation process that I use to win my job at the Met. I'll lay out the rest for you in my new online mini course called How to Advance in an Orchestra Audition 101. Just go to auditionhacker.com/advance to enroll, and the first video will be sent to you on November 10th. See you tomorrow when we talk about self-recording.